Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Dazs here. Today I have the privilege to share some insider knowledge. I'm going to be uploading one of these videos to the Ascent channel. Obviously you're seeing one right now on my personal channel, but I'm splitting the information, so if you enjoyed this video you can always check out the other one as well. This was made possible from the behind the scenes thing that occurred before the reveal, so we got to hear all the inside information. I want to share it with you, some exciting things. Now, things I'm going to cover within this video is I'm going to give a detailed analysis on the first look, let you know that there's no bullet deviation, fortifications, grand operations, and no premium pass. Now, for no bullet deviation, it means that where you aim is where your bullet's going to land. Now, for suppression, it's going to be strictly visual, and of course, during the alpha and beta, this isn't confirmed. They're still working on this, and they're trying to see what direction they want to go with it. Now, first, let's start off with detailed analysis as a first look. Now, you probably already watched the trailer or watched my other video, and the biggest thing I'm going to touch on for a detailed analysis and first look is that this game is not just your average World War II game, in that they're going to cover stories that have not been told before. They're covering locations that have not been covered. It has a lot more personality. When you look at the trailer, it has this more Bad Company type feel, but it definitely is rooted in World War II. Now, again, let's recover the locations. We're going to be north of the Arctic Circle, battle across French countryside, mainland Europe, and North Africa. One thing to note is really that War Stories is going to take a fine centerpiece within this. In fact, that War Stories are going to tell something more heartfelt and evolve from Battlefield 1. That's something that I really touch upon, that this isn't just coming from Battlefield 1, but something to build upon. Now, the most exciting thing I want to talk about here for the personal channel is that Fortifications. Fortifications is going to add a huge dynamic to multiplayer, and one thing I always stress is positioning. One thing that occurs within Battlefield 1, Battlefield 4, and that we love is Levolution. Well, with Levolution that occurs within a map, sometimes the structure and the main base that they're trying to create can get muddied or can be hard, like Galacia, which is completely open. Of course, once you get rid of all the buildings, there's nothing but open land. Now, the plus side with Fortifications is that you can rebuild structures back, build up walls, create sandbags. They're going to have predetermined locations in which you can build these fortifications and also put up LMGs to really get the advantage back. So if something like Siege of Shanghai, where it took out a whole level of area, you can rebuild with sandbags and of course, again, redestroy, giving the advantage to both the defense and the offense, depending how you look at it, but bringing extra layer, which is what I'm truly excited about. So it creates moments where it's unique and also pretty much helps with montages in general, so nothing feels the same. You don't want to kind of get in the routine of maps feeling the same, and that's one thing that I heard people kind of push back on in regards to Battlefield 1, is that everything plays out the exact same way. Well, not with Battlefield 1. Things will play out extremely differently, especially when you can rebuild things and repost things. Players can now be dragged around within the field. So example, if somebody gets down, you can pull them out of there and then revive them. Another mechanic that is coming in is also the fact that everybody's going to revive. Now, hear me out on this. This sounds really scary, but medics can, like, just throwing out numbers, can revive within 2 seconds. Now, me as a scout will be able to revive maybe like 15. It's going to be more of a struggle. So their classes still have their dominance, but also gives a reason for a specialization. So again, what we're talking about here is Fortifications, adding dynamic gameplay. Everybody has a role. Everyone can, essentially play a certain role, but also fill that gap. So one of the things that they are messing around with is the fact that players cannot go back to full 100 health. Now, what that means, you go to 75 and a medic can get you back to 100. They're still toying with this. There's still things that they're working on. Everything that you do in the game is going to have an interaction. So if anybody throws you ammo, you're going to be able to grab it. If anybody tries to heal you, you're going to go through a full-fledged animation. And you can, of course, stop these animations at any time, but the biggest thing I want to touch upon is that dynamic, unique gameplay, unique feelings within Battlefield instead of going through the same motions over and over again. And this is the most exciting thing that I feel is coming towards Battlefield. Now, another thing they've been talking about are things like grand operations. Grand operations is going to bring a whole dynamic game set where you can play through certain game modes and then come to an end. They call it, I guess, like the 4-day operation set. You go through day 1, day 2, day 3, and this is not actual days, but days within the game. So you know how in operations you go in Battlefield 1, you go through Foul Fortress, Sinai Desert. Well, those would be kind of separate days. Now, depending if you tie on the certain day, and the last one would be called Final Stand, where you have a certain level, you come in with only 1 life and a certain amount of ammo, and then it plays out and you get into really, really intense moments. I know this sounds a little bit confusing, but I hope that it shows that Grand Operations is going to something, no pun intended, grander. Alright, so I threw a lot of information at you. Let's recap. So I did a detailed analysis of locations of where the setting is going to be. There's no bullet deviation. We talked about fortifications. We talked about how everything is going to have a more dynamic and personal touch, so battles do not play out in a similar fashion. You're going to have Grand Operations, which is going to be a new operations set, and it will change weekly. And we also talked about the fact, if I did not, well, I'm mentioning it now, that there is no premium pass. So now, let's talk about the fact there's going to be a release date, October 11th. You're going to be able to play your first trial. Deluxe Edition comes out October 16th, and the final release of the game comes out October 19th. Now, beforehand, they're going to have a road to Battlefield 5. So with the road to Battlefield 5, you're going to give out, EA is going to give out Battlefield 4, Final Stand, and BF1, Name of the Tsar. So this is a lot of topics that I covered. If you want to know more about other topics, I covered them in the other video that's going up on Ascent. I talked also about no bullet deviation. I kind of went into more detail. The future of Montages, no premium pass, things as a service, or which is called Tides of War. I talked about in the other video on Ascent. You can always check that out. I'm going to put the link at the end here. You can also talk more in depth about this on my personal channel on Twitch. So if you have any questions, there's so much to cover here. I didn't want to keep this video too long, and I apologize if it's really long. There's just so much hype. And if you guys put a comment down below, I'll create another video if needed, and we can go more in depth about all these topics if need be. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in the next video.